I haven't
I
watched
tell
that.
my wife, I go and I say, what? I say, I got my people, I hope the honorable doctor.
In this inclusion, I think the new age of, what do you say, democracy is
Together once more, definitely to actually work as a people towards getting solutions for many of the difficulties that we are facing as a nation. The Arts Liberation Celebration is specifically geared towards highlighting all the positivities that is being done in the country. As we normally say in our introduction, that you hear the death announcements, but you never have the life announcements. And when you look at through the whole realms of what's happening in St. Lucia, the amount of talent that we have in small St. Lucia is something that needs to actually be portrayed in the forefront. And the Arts Liberation Celebration, this program is actually geared towards highlighting what our youth, what our young people are doing, what they are attempting to do, and how is it that they are going to be contributing towards making St. Lucia this more wholesome and holistic space. Growing up as a young man, basically, I myself, Right Honorable Priest K. Leons, I was blessed to actually have what you call mentorship. I had younger people and older people that I could have actually aspired to. I had sports groups, I had different groups I used to go to, I used to have people. I remember when I saw the first person that got a bachelor's degree in Buslaguas Library, you know, Mr. Wayne August. I remember when he became the bank manager of Scotiabank. And then I saw that I myself as a man could actually do it. So when we look at the whole aspect within our whole system, whereby you look at the amount of crime and violence that is happening in St. Lucia, one of the key things that we must do is do not allow the sad stories to actually cover up all the greatness that's happening in St. Lucia. So the Arts Liberation Celebration is basically a program that is brought to you to help you to understand exactly what is it that we in St. Lucia are doing, what the youths are doing, and how is it that we could put them on their pedestal and give them their flowers while they're alive. Many of the issues that we have as a people is because most times you walk in the road and instead you're doing something good, nobody says you're doing anything good. But the moment that you might step on somebody's feet, somebody will be telling you that you're doing something bad. So it is imperative that as a nation we begin to highlight the people who contribute positively to St. Lucia. And even as we say this, I have Honorable Prophet Edison with me, which basically we have been working together from, what year was that, Honorable?
2018.
2018. You know, I remember when he just came out of St. Mary's College. And out of St. Mary's College, he was basically there. He came to the Livity, and the specific reason he came to Livity was primarily to be a vegan chef. And when he came to Livity, he was young and he was enthusiastic and he wanted to learn. And I basically brought him on Livity, our TV program, and from then till now, we have actually been working together into fostering that relationship. Where I can say that right now he's a young man who has his own business and is doing very well. Honorable Prophet, tell us about how you're doing today.
Give thanks, Honorable. I'm feeling lovely, I'm feeling alive, and I'm grateful to sit here with the Honorable like yourself. I mean, a lot of times, young people, we seek to find the solutions to our circumstance, to the place that we are now. And we don't realize that a lot of the time it comes from the conversations, the reasonings, from being available to listen to our mentors, to the people around us who can embody something that we seek to emulate or that we can see light in. That way we get to bring ourselves a little closer to the positives and we learn the things that maybe we're overlooking now. Oftentimes we overlook a lot of things, so it's great to have people around us who can bring our consciousness, bring our focus into a growth standpoint, a developmental standpoint. And tonight we're doing just that. We're going to be looking at the different ways that young people can continue to grow in the community. I mean, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of young, fresh businesses, new businesses expanding. People who've been at it for years, creating more available, accessible means. So as we tie into the overall engagement and as we get involved, we got to keep it positive. And that's what we're here for. Really grateful for the moment.
Well, give thanks, Honorable. So definitely, as you know, naturally, even before we introduce, he's not a guest tonight. He's basically someone who basically have actually dealt with us with open arms ever since that he actually came into governmental office. And I must say that even from last year, you know, even from the first year of he coming into his office, you know, we have had at least probably 2 or 3 meetings, official meetings, and there have been many collaborations that we have done as an entity, myself and those that we have done locally in St. Lucia. And even before we go into meeting our person of the moment, you know, we'd just love to go into the realms of our herb of the moment. It's very critical that as St. Lucian, we embrace what is St. Lucian. As previously, our previous program on Sunday, we got the whole aspect of the herb Feidoufan, or what you call the gully root. And we said, well, why is it that so many people in St. Lucia are ordering sage to burn to clear space? When we raised up in St. Lucia, understanding that you could use the same Feidoufan to mop your house and clean your house and burn it and clear the same space. So this evening we're going to focus a bit on the herb called patchouli. Patchouli is a herb that grows prolifically in St. Lucia. In fact, it is one of the most expensive essential oils that you could find. It's an antidepressant. It is very good for anxiety and also for all gastric conditions. So patchouli is a herb that you could utilize, I mean, just like a normal tea. So instead of drinking a Milo and get low, you take a time out and go to your garden and patronize someone in St. Lucia who's actually producing natural herbal teas that grows right here, brings down our import bill, and you know that when you take it in, you are going to wake up on having good stomach function, good gastrointestinal function. And if it is that you're depressed, you're stressed, you want to relax, definitely you could drink a cup of patchouli tea. Honorable Prophet, tell us about the food of the moment that we could actually look at.
Give thanks, Honorable. So we're looking at the food today, broccoli. It's really popular. We use it in our culinary space as vegans. We're not only looking at that, but we're going to look at another food that I think is a little bit overlooked, which is coconut milk. I really want to bring it into perspective because of the mineral potassium. It's very prolific in both of those. It's quite large in quantity, and we get potassium from these sources. But it's great because of the use of potassium. It's great because of the importance. We need 7 to 10 cups of leafy green vegetables. Of course, coconut milk is not leafy green, but it has its use. Broccoli might be something you might be more familiar with, but even others like spinach and so on. The leafy greens contain potassium, and we often don't get enough potassium. We need the most of it out of a lot of our minerals. We need up to 4,700 milligrams. And typically, if you get a supplement off of the shelf, it only has about 40. So it's really great that we get to consume it. It's a powerhouse for the cells. It allows calcium and minerals to go into the cell. So it's really important for muscle contraction, relaxation, for our blood vessels work so that it lowers the blood pressure to the correct amount. And of course, in the organic forms like perhaps patchouli, it would probably be tied along with other minerals so that it could balance the stomach, that it could actually operate that pump in the stomach to produce the acid, to reduce the acid reflux. So grateful for these foods, and that's what we have today.
Well, definitely, you know, patchouli and potassium and patchouli. Yes, but I mean, you know, the potassium is critical when it comes to the whole aspect of people with high blood pressure. So it's most herbs with patchouli or foods are what you call electrolyte sparing diuretics. So normally when someone is hypertensive, they put them on a diuretic so they urinate a lot, and that could actually make them lose potassium. That's why they must always take the potassium test. So it's critical that you just use your high mineral foods, and definitely, as I said, the coconut milk, extremely rich in potassium and medium chain fatty acids, good for you. So the food of the moment is red cocoa. So don't believe that, no point that you say, oh gosh, look, I'm going to let cocoa, so I feel sick, you know? And now, you know, coconut is one of the most expensive nuts in the world. So definitely, give thanks for everyone who is with us this evening, and we are going to go for a short intercession, and when we come again, we'll be officially introducing our minister of the moment, the Minister of Tourism and Culture, Arts and Culture, and definitely Honorable Minister Hilaire. And definitely, as I said previously, he's a man who is accessible. You know, he's the kind of minister that, and I'm not saying this, you see I'm dressed in yellow and he said, oh boy, Chris is a yellow man, you know, but as you know well, I have never voted, you know, and for my own beliefs, my own belief system, and people say, well, Chris, boy, if you don't vote, you don't have a say, you know, but at the end of the day, I'm St. Lucian, I'm proud to be St. Lucian, and it is something that even when you came into office, I said, Honorable, I'm here, you know, man, you could use me, you know, and use me in a manner that you don't have to pay me, just use me for whatever that I am good for. So basically, when we come again, we're going to introduce the minister, we're going to look at what's happening in St. Lucia, what exactly is coming up, how is it that we are going to work in the arts liberation, how is it that we're going to assist the youths specifically to uplift themselves and see art as a specific revenue to uplift themselves and make money, you know, because at the end of the day, people say the root of money, the love of money is the root to all evil. Nah, but it is the people that don't have no money you have to be afraid of, you know. So the people with all the money, they won't come and rob you. You know, the people that don't have the money will actually come and get you. So let us see how is it that we could empower our young people and utilize their creativity, their arts, and see how that could become something economically sustainable for them. And towards the ending of the program, our second segment, we have a wonderful young sister we're going to be interviewing that's been doing a crochet, which is basically an art, for a long period of time. And we're going to have a wonderful performance by our brother Rashad. You know, who's going to bless us with some saxophone.
Yes.
Yes. So give thanks again. When we come again, we definitely will continue. Blessed love.
Blessed love.
The answer is just like a natural gift that, you know, we have been able to extract out of nature in such a way that people can use it. Yeah, and in many different ways I'll use it. Use it in juice, you know, drop it in a juice same way. And, you know what I mean, in tea, same way. All different type of ways I'll use it, you know. Most times I take it in water, you know what I mean? But you know, if you're ever on the road and you need to sanitize your hand, like, you know what I mean, with something that you know is like antibacterial at the same time, you know, that is one of the things they can use the answer for, you know. It's for people who undergo and people who are trying to incorporate the natural levity into everyday modern life, you know what I mean? So it's a gift, you know, we give thanks, it's an answer, you know, for real.
Moi, c'est Marilyn Hyacinth, je représente Place Richesse Folklore, à une organisation qui est WAC. Là, nous regardons la terre qui vient plus chaud, le soleil qui vient plus chaud, la mer plus chaud, la terre plus chaud, le poisson qui mort, la terre n'a pas produit comme il a produit avant. Et puis ça, c'est à la cause des vieilles habitudes, nous, quand nous avons jeté les ordures à la mer, à la rivière, et puis tout partout. Nous ne pouvons pas changer l'habitude, ça, puisque ça affecte la vie, nous, et ça affecte la santé. Nous. À nous changer l'habitude, et puis à nous protéger la mer, à nous protéger la rivière, à nous protéger la terre, puis c'est important pour nous. Et puis nous, quand ça vit, en primer la vie, qu'on Saint-Lucien.
Hi, I am Cassandra Peter. I am the co-founder of Peter and Noel Enterprise, and we are CMOS farmers as well as agro-processors.
Hi, good day. My name is Riyad James. I am co-owner of The Local Bites. The Local Bites is a small company which creates chips using breadfruit, dashing, plantain, sweet potato, all of our local produce.
Hi, I'm Darren Spock from Druivy. I believe the youth economy is a very cool initiative that will help us young entrepreneurs in St. Lucia's.
Who want to venture into business and they do not know how to go about doing it, or they don't have the funds to actually start off. So having that put in place would benefit a lot of young persons like myself to either get a push with their business or get started initially.
The funding made available by the Youth Economy Agency will help the local bites in procuring the necessary equipment, resources, and even facilities to help the local bites become the best chip producer on the island.
We really need those kind of support and help. Thanks to the PM for really looking at this path and helping young persons in St. Lucia. So now that young person can be creative and, try to put their business together and put it out there.
So those who are at home and they just don't know what to do, instead of sitting around, you can go online, you can call your district rep and get to know more about the Youth Economy Agency and how they can help you moving forward.
Yes, we do give thanks for life and the mighty life giver again, and give thanks again for the divine opportunity, and we'd like to give thanks for Honorable Prophet Edison that's here with me today, and also give thanks for our Honorable Minister of Tourism, Honorable Minister Healy, that have taken the time out to sit down with us. And just before we get into the meat of the issues, as you know, you are in a plant-based space, so there will be no meat. Well, I mean, they say fruits bearing seeds. Is your meat? Tell us. Before we get into your political aspect, you are an example of someone who has actually traversed through adversity and someone who has actually gone through trials and tribulations and have come up as someone who, as an example of success within our society. Tell us, as a youth growing up from your childhood, what were some of the difficulties that you experienced, and how is it that you were able to surmount them? How is it that you were able to conquer them to remain on that track that you are on right now?
Yeah. Well, give thanks to you for inviting me to be part of the discussion here tonight. I really feel honored that I have the opportunity and to sit with some of the youths and to share perspectives with them and to even take questions from them is a real special honor for me. And of course, it's always a pleasure to speak to you and to admire the work that you're doing, and certainly to pay regard to the fact that you're such a positive influence and force in the society. And I told you from the first time we met, your own story, your own approach is one which is a shining example for a lot of other individuals in this community. Your groundings and your vision for what you want to do. For me, in many ways, growing up in a certain community, the Hospital Road community, the Lower Mon Road into Fuasho community, itself poses its own challenges, because you grow up in a community which in many ways is a challenge community. And I grew up in a household where my mother fathered us, basically. And my mother had 6 boys and 1 girl. And raising 6 boys, you can imagine what that is. But it also showed the strength of a woman and the strength of my mother, because for her, the most important thing for her children was to get an education. So she always used to tell us, you don't have no baka, pani pies no pani baka. Say, they can shock you for a norm. So it really instilled into us that discipline, that education is what's going to create the social mobility for us to move up in life. And you see you growing up in circumstances where you don't have the basic resources for you to really excel. I mean, in those days they didn't have computer like now, whatnot, to study, to get to school. Now these days when you're here, we used to walk to comprehensive school to get to school and walk back down in afternoons, that kind of dedication. And of course the whole distractions in the area, and it was so easy for a young man to just decide, not to have the kind of ambition and the kind of dreams that one probably ought to have because you want to overcome your circumstances. But growing up, I always wanted to be a diplomat. I used to see pictures of the United Nations. I used to see pictures of other capitals of the world, and I wanted to be there. I wanted to be able to place myself there. So I always, dreamt that St. Lucia was just a stepping stone for me. I had to conquer the world. So from youth, I knew the flag of every country, the population of every country, the capital of every country, because I had that dream that I had to go out there and to conquer and to read as much as I could. Up to today, I'm still a very big reader. I read just about anything I get to read. I don't read as much now as I used to, but reading was a real fundamental part of growing up for me. But even then, you still have your challenges and your distractions. I'll share a secret with you. Let me tell you, when I
If you share a secret, it's no longer a secret.
Well, it's no longer a secret, but it was a secret in terms of public, disclosure. I actually had to repeat Form 5 at comprehensive school. I had to repeat Form 5. And the reason is that when my results came out, and my mother, who had her own limitations, just asked me if I'm going to go to the MON. I tell her I didn't really have all the subjects. She told me, well, how you don't have all the subjects? As if she gave us money to pay my subjects. But I didn't pay all the subjects because they had thrown me out of half of the class. So I didn't even have enough subjects to go to the MON. And then she took me back to comprehensive school to Miss Laura and tell her child must go to the MON. She can't understand her child coming first in class. All of a sudden, what happened to him? And Miss Laura said, well, in the last 2 years, the boy gone astray. And she said, my mother said, that ain't happening. You have to go to the MON. They made me repeat Form 5. So I then did half of my subjects only in Form 5 because I was put out of a few classes in Form 4. And then I went to Sir Arthur Lewis. And when it wasn't Sir Arthur Lewis, it was Central A-level college. And I eventually went to university, got first class honors, became a Cambridge scholar.
So you were a Cambridge scholar?
Yeah, Cambridge scholar. And then eventually did my PhD at the London School of Economics. But again, it was that.
But Fulasho is not the Hospital Road area there.
Yeah.
But that's where all the crime and violence. So why is it then that you never hold a gun and never became the man that robbing people, or became the one that you hear in the news, or the person that you hear get buried, or the person that end up in the jail? What happened?
Well, when you see, for me, a couple of things. It was what education did, and more importantly, get involved in a youth organization.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you something, and you made the point about mentorship, growing up with mentors, and you said it too, both younger and older. When I left comprehensive, I went to Central A-level college. It was International Year of the Youth. And I ended up being elected to be on the Executive Student Council because they say, well, you have leadership skills and you should be there. And we got involved in student council and youth organization. And the NYC really put me on course and gave me a different perspective, a different vision. And then even in the area too, because they had a few guys there, Victor Carde and a few other guys who had a lot of political consciousness about them, black consciousnness. So you go up heard about Steve Biko, you heard about George Jackson, Soledad Brother, you had a kind of Pan-African consciousness, Marcus Garvey. So we grew up in an area, there was a section of guys there who were really dedicated to that kind of black consciousness. So I started getting involved in a youth organization, and I started listening to those elders, starting to learn about African liberation, learn about, all the struggles of black people everywhere, the Black Panthers in the United States. And I started developing a political consciousness, and it extended beyond just Pan-Africanism. It became a broader consciousness of working class liberation and the struggle for self-determination and national independence of countries. So I found myself, in Form 5, a little astray, get back on course, got involved in youth organizations, developing a political consciousness and one of service and dedication to community empowerment, whatnot. And I literally grew up. I mean, I'll tell you, at the age of 17, I was traveling to Cuba and to Moscow, as a student, a regional student leader.
So you didn't just start?
No, I didn't start. I mean, at 17 years old, I was You know, I made my first trip, you know, to an
As
international...
a diplomat?
As an international student festival in Moscow, where I had to address students from all over the world about the plight of the Caribbean student, whatnot, from 17 years old. And, you know, I became very, very involved and entrenched, traveled many countries, you know, addressing student issues, youth issues.
But can I ask you a question before you continue? As a youth, okay, you travel at 17, was there a point in time, and feel free to ask the honorable questions, you know. Was there a point in time that, okay, well, for me, hearing that, that's new for me, you know.
Yeah.
I never...
It was a secret.
Well, you know, I went almost for this. You see, the significance of parents. You see, like I love my grandmother so much that something similar happened. I don't know what happens when you reach Form 3. Right, Form 1, Form 2, Form 3. I went to Lafayette Secondary. I'm not like a St. Mary's College man, right? And then I used to be first in my class, and my grandmother was always there. And my grandmother left probably when I was in Form 4. You know, I used to hide my report card if I came second or third.
Yeah.
Right, and when my grandmother left, Form 3, Form 4, Form 4 and 4, I got actually 13% from someone who was getting my average 80-something, 90-something%. I got 13% in chemistry in pre-CXC, you know. And it was when my grandmother came back while I was in Form 5, you know, and my grandmother came back and put her hands on me and began to show me that love and affection, I was able to actually recover. So my question to you is then, was when you did all these great things as a 17-year-old, was there a moment that you were recognized as a youth, not as you now as Honorable Minister of Tourism, Mr. Hilaire, as a youth that at least that because remember the process, the walk towards becoming a minister or whatever, or the head of state, whatever it is, it was a walk, a process. So during that process, was there a point whereby your excellence highlighted?
Well, I think in many ways, you know, you show it in different kind of ways, because Mario Michel was president of the NYC. I was president of the student branch, the student movement at that time. And I went to A-level college. I was a valedictorian at A-level college. My A-level grades were really good. I mean,
And you repeated Form 5?
And I had to repeat Form 5. Okay. Let me tell you, if my mother had not intervened, when she heard what my results were and went to see Miss Laura, who was principal, and she agreed with my mother and said she herself was wondering what was happening to me, and she going to let me repeat Form 5. And I did 3 subjects in Form 5 on my own, well, you know, just in Form 5, and then I ended up going to SAFA. And then I really got the opportunity. Mario Michel was a real outstanding mentor, you know, really outstanding mentor who helped shape a lot of us. And I did really well, and I wanted to go to university immediately. And I kept applying for economic course. The government then would not give it to me because I was an NYC person. I was a young communist. I was a young this, I was a young that. And I never would get a scholarship until eventually I made it to university. But I'll tell you, when I graduated from K-ville, I got first-class honors. And as the first student in the department ever to get first-class honors. So then now I came back to St. Lucia, and I get this more mentorship. I remember, you know, looking for a job somewhere where I going to work because UWP in power, and you know, I'm an NYC man, and then Osbert Dover, he was then PS Public Service, and eventually, you know, he helped organize me and to give me an opportunity. Let me tell you, sometimes I feel I've been the most blessed person, you know, seriously. And throughout my life, I've had people who, you know, have been able to always say, look, we see potential in you to move forward. Kenny Anthony was another mentor in many ways, because I was Kenny Anthony's personal assistant in 1997. You understand? And let me tell you, Kenny Anthony is a man who believed in young people and really gave us opportunities and gave me opportunities. And he himself is an intellectual of a certain level. So I feel, and even beyond that, I got involved in Cricket World Cup. I was CEO of Cricket World Cup St. Lucia. Yeah. And St. Lucia turned out to have been the best organized. I eventually got a job with the ICC to do the World T20. And then Julian Hunt was president of Western Cricket Board. And he said, boss, we need someone to come and shake this thing and reorganize it and give me the opportunity to come to do it. And which is why I always like to give young people opportunities. Yeah,
Darren Summit told me, I was speaking to him, he told me, Priest, you know, yeah man, it's Mr. Hilaire. The reason why I am where I am today, because I was telling him, but how is it that you could make it and the other people can't make it? He told me, well, he had special intervention.
Yeah.
He said that you were on a trip, you and someone else, you all were on a trip to some kind of governmental thing that you all were going, and you went and you stopped at Lord's because there was this young people cricket tournament happening, and you stopped at Lord's and you went and speak to the people and tell them, well, there is this youngster from St. Lucia that you want to actually, and he said what really changed him is that he never, when he got that opportunity, he said he was on the cricket pitch and he said, well, there are cricketers who never ever get the opportunity to play at Lord's. And he now, as a young man, through divine intervention, you know, in the form of yourself, he had that opportunity. So he had that chance to push and become the best that he could have become.
Let me tell you, Darren Sam is a very special person. Seriously. I have never met somebody who had that desire and the ability to want to learn and grow in the most humble way. I mean, I remember teaching Darren how to tie a tie, how to use a knife and fork. Young boy, 13, 14, starting to get into cricket. And he had a humility about him. He wasn't the most talented cricketer. There were others that were more talented than him. But he had that capacity about him. You just felt this is a man that wanted to absorb knowledge and to learn, and a humility about him. And you know, you just had to give him the opportunity, and he took it, and he just grew. Let me tell you, when Darren Sammy made this debut, the shirt he used, I took it from him. I told him to give it to me. I was in England then. He gave me that shirt. Many years later, I think in 2016, he was launching his Darren Sammy Foundation, and I gave him 3 pieces of thing. I gave him that same shirt he wore. I had never washed the shirt. Never ever. I folded that shirt and I put that away. And I said, one day, this man will be one of the most outstanding leaders we had in West Indies cricket, and I'll give it back to him. He came in England to my house, because he was sitting by me when he just came up. And he came and he said to me, you know, Mr. Hill, everybody coming to me for a signature, but I don't know, I have a signature. I pull out a brown St. Lucia government service, you know, that brown envelope, and I tell him, come, let's practice. And he started doing signatures until we agree, well, that one will be your signature. And I didn't do anything. I took it, and I said, you see that? One day, this man will be a great man. I'll give him back that envelope. And I kept it. And I think the other one was the ball when he took 7 for whatever in his
England.
first match. Yeah. And actually, when he was launching foundation, I gave it back to him. I said, look, I collected those things when you started off, because I believe one day you would have become what you are. So here it is back. And you could ask him. But you see, from then on, as a young person, he just had a discipline about him. He had a commitment. He had a humility. And he took advice and he listened. I don't know how he did it sometimes, the pressure he was under. But he always had that kind of understanding and that kind of approach. And we have so many of our youths in St. Lucia like that. And they just need the opportunities and the mentorship for them to excel. So many youths. I mean, it's unfortunate for my own self. I don't have the time to really get involved at that level anymore. But every now and then you come across some youths and you listen to them. And you say, well, a youth has something special about him. But he needs the opportunity. Some never get the opportunity. Which is why, at a different level, I'm excited about things like the Youth Economy Agency. I'm excited about the community tourism, the arts in particular. I'm really excited about it because there's so much talent among our young people. But will they get the opportunity and the space? Somebody like me, I was lucky I had a mother who was a real strong lady, but I also had persons like Miss Laura, the Mario Michels, the Kenny Anthony, that saw in me some potential and say, nah, we will give you the push and take it as far as you can. And Darren Sammy did the same. It was Darren Heritage. Boy, let me tell you, working with Darren was a special joy in itself because you just saw fulfillment of a dream that this man can become something special.
So that means that you will have to, I'll have to ask a question. That means that you must change that piece of, that flat little board you'll have in front of Darren Sammy Stadium.
Yeah.
And put a real
statue.
I told him that basically, that was one of the things that even in the Arts Liberation celebration, and I was speaking to the brother at CDF, Brother Darwin, and I was saying, well,
I said, but brethren, I mean, I don't feel that we honor our people enough, you know, and I had to basically learn to blow my own trumpet to get my own honor, right? And say, oh, but there's no good blow my own trumpet. Yeah. And I say, but Darren Sammy, right, is a youth who is the only man, and now people would see that. I'm not making the program about, you know, but as an example of how is it a youth that needs to be honored, someone that the country is supposed to deal with more upfully, right? He is a man that was able to win back-to-back T20 World Cups, okay? And everybody used to take it for granted, and that shows you the depth and the quality that St. Lucia has, you know. And he stands as an example of the powers, our potential that we have inside of us here in St. Lucia. And then when everybody think, well, okay, this Jamaican going to do it better, or this Trini going to do it better, or that person could do it better, no one else have been able to even get to a quarter or a semi or anything close to what he has accomplished. Yet still, when you go to Darren Sammy Stadium, because I told Mr. God that, you know, Honorable, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to see if I could raise some money and get a sculpture to do something wonderful for that. Well, he said, why, you know, President has to be commissioned, you know. So why is it then that someone who has accomplished so much as a youth, I think that honoring him in his heydays as a youth, you know, supposed to be something that should be done, instead of having that little piece of printout, like a little piece of cardboard that is in front of Darren Sammy Stadium. But before you answer, let me hear what the Honorable has to say about that.
Now, it's really popular in youth discussion, at least let's say for the last month, people posting about this gatekeepers concept. People are discussing that as in young people who feel that they're doing good enough, that want to get into the spotlights, they want to find avenues to get seen. Similarly, within the village tourism, within the shows, they want to be part of these things, but in some sense, people view as though there's a barrier. Now, for me, I like that you mentioned diplomacy, because to me, that's just one of the languages of life. I think everybody, in a sense, carries out their own demeanor, and through your own qualities, and like you mentioned, some instances, supreme humility, you're able to get that extra air and catch the information that you need. However, like, is it really, are we currently encouraging a space where the young people who want to get involved can simply be put out, they can apply, they can get involved? Because I think some young people are within the space and they want to be streamlined. They want to be streamlined into what's going on. And what avenues have we created so far for us to get a hold of these young people, these young talents, some of which maybe later through their own effort could blow up, you know, they could have their own substantial movement. But in the meantime, as we begin to work on artists and develop artists, what are we doing to grab those young people who want to be part of this movement, not just in the arts, but in the other spaces? And of course, I find that within the sports industry, for sure, right now, the young people in St. Lucia are really taking the stage. We have people like Julian Alfred, we have others like, well, we have Amani Mordas, I would just mention those. We have another gentleman who's been doing considerably well, yes. And that's really where we're going, Akim Ogis as well. And of course, these Dylan Edwin, I wanted to mention. He's been doing substantial along the same line with Julian. But young people are being streamlined, but how can we get those in the arts as well to get involved?
Yeah, no, I think, look, for the society to really realize the potential of our young people, it must create a priority in favor of youth. The society must say, look, let's create an enabling environment to create the pathways for our young people. And it's up to the young person now to seize the opportunities when they come through. But the society must create the pathways, must create the enabling environment. We must say we're giving young people a priority. And for them now to be able to make opportunities out of it. And the whole world is one single village now. So you can stay from St. Lucia and start conquering the world. You don't have to necessarily move overseas. You have the internet, YouTube, you know, all those different digital avenues to allow you to excel. So at a governmental level, initiatives like, say, the Youth Economy Agency is a powerful statement. Here you have a government that will say, we're going to put $10 million down for young people to get grants and to get, you know, even loans where necessary. If you have an idea, if you have a skill, if you have a hobby, and you want to translate that into opportunities, then you could come here. we will then give you the training, the support, the financing for you to make it real. Now you're going to ask the question, how many youths know that? That's the first thing we have to overcome, because we need to publicize it, you know, promote it, so young people know that. Then there's a deeper question, and it's a question that I know because in growing up then, I felt that way. Far less youths now, you don't really trust the system. You don't trust the system. You don't have faith in the system. Because you start off with a mindset that they have favoritism, they ain't really going to check for you, there's just a lot of talk, and you're very cynical. And you're cynical because of your disadvantaged circumstances that you're in. But that's where mental strength come in, that's where mentorship come in. That's where elders have to speak and encourage and say, no, go for it. Sometimes it's your parents who will say to you, like in my case, it was my parents, if it was for my mother, I would have gone astray. But she's the one that said, no, you ain't giving up yet. You have to go there. So our youth now need to get the motivation, the encouragement, the information. And that's where youths like yourself, as a youth leader, have to say to other youths, boy, look, you want to be a visual artist or whatever, here is the opportunity for you to do this. Here is what you can do. You can go and get a grant to buy all your painting and all your requirements from the youth agency. Any youth now who say, look, I feel I can paint and believe I can paint and go and sell to visitors, he can go and get a grant and buy all his supplies, whatnot. You know, the community tourism, again, if you believe you have an idea and you feel you want to be able to enter into the hospitality sector, tourism sector, you can go and look for a grant. The micro enterprise fund that will be launched next week, Thursday, about $20 million will be available to give grants to small businesses.
So people like myself that are already 45, I not use again, eh?
Nah, well, you ever 45, because the youth agency is up to 45. It's up to 45.
We do for intercession, eh? But you see this page in here, my empress actually got some youths from St. Mary's College to paint it. You know, and we believe that I just always believe, I won't say that my thing have always been, I'm skeptical, you know. Yes, I'm a bit skeptical of government, not government, of politicians. But I always come from the position of saying, well, what can I do for my country? You know, so I would say, well, my road need to fix like the mountain. You need to come to Mount Kailash, right? And I say, well, I said, I go try and fix my own road and thing and that, whatever. So there are people also, it's not only about being skeptical, but people who believe that they can do certain things on their own. You know, but this evening, before we take an intercession, we're going to be featuring a young sister by the name of Alisa, right? And she does crocheting. Tell us a little bit about the sister. After the intercession, we're going to be speaking to her a bit. And these are the type of young people. That's what our program is about. We had a young brother called Innovate Fit, who was there the previous Sunday. We had Volt Fitness, he's another young youth who came in. And to hear the depths of these youth's conversation, I had to bring them in again this evening. So at least I say, come on and tell the minister what you all think. And I'm saying that these are youths that on their own, they are trying to actually do something great. But every single person needs that level of support, that little push, that little urge to help to get them to where exactly they need to get. So tell me a little bit about our crochet sister.
Yes,
and when you come again, we're going to be bringing her on.
Give thanks, Honorable. So we have Alisa Chloe of Everything Crocheted. And I met this sister back at a training program which I was streamlined to from the NYC. And this was simply a forum, and it's actually during Business Month, actually. And it was a forum for us to discuss how young people could grow their businesses. We were asked to develop concepts on what is unique about our business, what would be marketable to the global forum. And I found that this sister spoke so well that Chloe she stands out to me as a young entrepreneur who is in her field, working assiduously to create high quality. She ships overseas and she operates locally to the point where young women are proud, they're happy to wear her products. So I think that speaks to the overall quality and the care that she's put into her own ethos, creating a little universe here with fashion as a unique concept where you could have something tailor-made to you, which would not really exist without the person who's making it. So there we have the beauty of artist and creation. And therefore we're gonna introduce a young sister who's doing extraordinary work to give her story and let us know how she's highlighted what she's done.
Well, definitely give thanks again, as you know that you can't sleep. Definitely, as we just live again on Art Celebration, and we are highlighting and featuring all the wonderful works by all our beautiful young people in St. Lucia. And remember that when people say they'll blow your own trumpet, you must have that confidence to blow your own trumpet. You must be able to stand, as Marcus Garvey said, without confidence, you are twice defeated in the race of life. So when you come again, we're going to have an interview with the young sister, and definitely we're going to be fielding questions from the audience, and we'll be listening to a wonderful piece by my beloved young brother there, Rashad. I met him, he came and checked me. He's outside there, waiting already, and I love the youths. And I will do what I can, and the best I can, because I believe that as a man, when I look at the lack, I just always look at for solutions. Maybe because I'm a Lucian, Yeah. Solution. Give thanks. Bless you. When you come again.
The answer is just like a natural gift that, we have been able to extract out of nature in such a way that people can use it. Yeah, and in many different ways I'll use it. Use it in juice, drop it in your juice same way. And, in tea, same way. All different type of ways I'll use it, Most times I take it in water, But if you're ever on the road and you need to sanitize your hand, with something that is like antibacterial at the same time, that is one of the things you can use the answer for, It's for people who undergo and people who are trying to incorporate the natural living into everyday modern life, So it's a gift. We give thanks, it's an answer, for real.
Hi, I am Cassandra Peter. I am the co-founder of Peter and Noel Enterprise, and we are CMOS farmers as well as agro-processors.
Hi, good day. My name is Riyad James. I am co-owner of The Local Bites. The Local Bites is a small company which creates chips using breadfruit, dashing, plantain, sweet potato, all of our local produce.
Hi, I'm Darren Sport from UV. I believe the youth economy is a very cool initiative that will help us young entrepreneurs in St. Lucia
who want to venture into business and they do not know how to go about doing it, or they don't have the funds to actually start off. So having that put in place would benefit a lot of young persons like myself to either get a push with their business or get started initially.
The funding made available by the Youth Economy Agency will help the local bites in procuring the necessary equipment, resources, and even facilities to help the local bites become the best chip producer on the island.
We really need those kind of support and help. Thanks to the PM for really looking at this path and helping young persons in St. Lucia. So now that young person can be creative and try to put their business together and put it out there.
So those who are at home and they just don't know what to do, instead of sitting around, you can go online, you can call your district rep and get to know more about the Youth Economy Agency and how they can help you moving forward.
No Non, moi c'est Marilyn Hyacinth, je représente Place Richesse Folklore, à une organisation nous avons WAC. Là nous regardons au lieu nous, la terre a venu plus chaud, le soleil a venu plus chaud, la mer a plus chaud, terre a plus chaud, poisson a mort, terre a pas produit comme il était produit comme avant. Et puis ça c'est à la cause des vieilles habitudes nous côté nous avons jeté les ordures à la mer, à la rivière et puis tout partout. Nous ne pour nous ça changer l'habitude ça là, puis c'est affecter la vie nous, et affecter santé nous. À nous changer l'habitude nous, et puis à nous protéger la mer, à nous protéger la rivière, à nous protéger terre, puis c'est important pour nous. Et puis nous quand ça vie, en plimer la vie qu'on Saint-Lucien.
The answer is just like a natural gift that, we have been able to extract out of nature in such a way that people can use it. Yeah, and in many different ways I'll use it. Use it in juice, drop it in a juice same way. And, in tea, same way. All different type of ways I'll use it, Most times I take it in water, But if you're ever on the road and you need to sanitize your hand, with something that is like antibacterial at the same time, that is one of the things you can use the answer for, It's for people who undergo and people who are trying to incorporate the natural living into everyday modern life, So it's a gift. We give thanks, it's an answer, for real.
Blessed love and welcome back to the Arts Liberation Celebration. And this evening we're going to be highlighting another spectacular young person who has been putting forward work in the community for years. And at this point we're giving another opportunity to offer her flowers, the appreciation for her work, and of course to give her a moment to speak on her story. Now, I'm speaking about Elisa Chloe Florenville, and we're appreciative of her business. That's Chloe's Closet, also known as Everything Crocheted on Instagram. She's described it as a family-led initiative or project, as she's been supported by her friends and family throughout the entire process. This is something that we must consider admirable and commendable, even for the young people in the community who are commending this type of work and who are following through. So we have her here today to give us a bit more about her journey, let us know about the opportunities she's received, the features she's had so far, and how it's propelled her, how it's kept her momentum and her motivation as she works not only on island but internationally. So Chloe, wish you a good night, blessed love.
Thanks, Edison. So I'm Chloe. I started crocheting in the year 2016. By family supported, I mean when I first started crocheting, it was actually my hobby, just to pass some time and to release some stress. However, my friends at the time suggested that I start a business. Now, like I always tell people, if I show you how I crocheted in that year as to how I crochet now, it's a very big difference. And honestly, I wouldn't even sell what I sold back then to anybody for this money. But we progress and we go for development. I started crocheting on my own. I'm self-taught. I use the videos, books, and I still use those stuff because I am actually not where I want to be at my craft because, like I say, it's always self-developing. So my friends came up with the idea and they pushed me to it. And with the family, my family is the one who helps me with sometimes with order processing, delivery, and that is where I get my products from, my materials actually. So we started in 2016 and it was very basic, what we call crop tops, bikini. I didn't do that much. However, when I went to South, there was this competition. It's Global Entrepreneurship Week, and there is an idea generation competition. I believe the business propelled from then because I placed food, and it was again with the help of my friends. So I had my friends help me with the project, the idea, and also at South, when I went there, I studied tourism and entrepreneurship. So with studying entrepreneurship, it helped me in the competition in order to answer my questions so that I could have been judged on. From then, I got features with the Yo magazine. I met people like Scotty. Scotty gave me my flowers. I also got featured at Youth Expose, I think the following year. I've also had interviews with Choice. I've had a lot of features in the media, and if anybody has ever heard my interview, it's kind of repetitive. And just this weekend, I was trying to give my bio to Edison. I just came back home and I'm like, what would I write? And I'm like, okay, but your bio doesn't change. You say the same thing that you've been saying all these years. So I've been doing the craft for some time and I've been working on it. Back then, I remember I would celebrate every 100 followers. My business is mainly based on Instagram. So I would celebrate every 100 followers, and back then it wasn't much. Right now I'm over 8,000 followers. I can't keep up. I have over hundreds of customers. I sell locally, regionally, I sell internationally as well, and I just continue going. It's not easy. I do the bulk of the work and everything, the pages, the media, the marketing, the work itself, it's done by me. People think crochet is intensive. I always say it's not for me, it's pretty easy. Mr. Hiller just asked me if I have long nails, but I don't have long nails. I work really fast, but as much as I say, it's actually not my 9 to 5. It is my 5 to 2 a.m. because I do it when I'm home, I work as well, and I go to school as well. And I've just been going. So it started in 2016, I'm still here doing it. I just got back home, and along the journey, I met people like Edison himself, which I appreciate.
Thank you so much, Chloe. And of course, we've heard another success story where if the seeds are planted and we water them, they can grow, they bear fruit. If you believe in yourself, you can step forward and enjoy the fruits of your work. That being said, we're going to move forward to another confident young person, moving into the talent segment, where we appreciate still the whole ethos that is being put forward, where you can really grind out, put down your work, and you would see the benefit through your followers, through your business, through your features. I think the community here is super embracing. And as we go ahead into the music segment, let's look at that as another...
Before we go into the music segment, let us tell us some of the challenges that you had, and how is it that you would encourage younger people to actually persevere? And whether or not you have any question to the Honorable Minister to your right-hand side. And also after that, before we go to the talent segment, we also want just to touch on the level of crime and violence in St. Lucia. And as a young person, what are your suggestions?
So I have had actually many challenges because it is something I do on my own, especially the bulk of the work. Crochet is very, let's say with the hands itself, when I crochet too much, my hands swell. And with material sourcing, and since we're speaking on arts and liberation, I think all of us here know that there is not many places in St. Lucia to get your materials, so that is a challenge for me, especially
it's a challenge, but yes, but it's also a business opportunity.
Yes, I'm actually looking into it. Actually, I really am. But there's only one store, so I just came back home this week, and my customers, I guess everybody knew I came back home. She reached out to me, and she wanted something made. I couldn't make it for her because the store didn't have, and my stuff are still in the US. So that's one of the an issues I've always had and continue to have, because sources are very limited, and it's not only for crochet. It's especially for all of us who do arts, the fashion, the sewing, etc. We have very limited sources, so it burdens our business sometimes when we cannot accommodate our customers how we're supposed to. So this is one. Also with the bulk of the work being done by myself, that is another one. But I have, with the product sourcing, I just source outside of the country, which is very dampening because, you know, you're sending the money outside. But you have to do what you have to do.
And Arts
Yes.
right there, so you could ask him.
So apart from that, with customer satisfaction is something I really have a challenge with because I always aim to have 100%, but we all know that's not possible, but I still try. So these are the few things, and since it's not my 9 to 5, I sometimes have a hard time struggling between schoolwork and the business as well. So sometimes if one is flourishing, something is getting stifled in the back. But I pull them up eventually. So these are my main challenges, but you just have to find the right balance. And like he said, if you have the right support, you will get there. You can't please everybody, but you try. Even if you feel motivated some days, anybody who knows I have probably wanted to give up a lot of times, but it's really the support system that keeps you going, and because of the customers I've had over the years, nobody wants me to close, so I'm actually never going to stop crocheting.
So you have any questions for the minister?
Based on, I think with product sourcing itself, I think we need more avenues. So you said that there was a fund. I think somebody should, if not me, I'll propose the idea that we have more resources available to the people if that's something you see happening, because I'm not sure if you know the only store there is in St. Lucia which sells crafts is Sewing Center. So that as well.
I think the point was made by the Honorable Prince Kilash about the business opportunity, because it is something you are so right. Even in respect to Carnival, when people are preparing costumes, you want to get some, accessories. You can't get it. I mean, we had to order stuff from Trinidad or from New York for anybody who wants to build anything. And generally, if you want to be involved in costume making, whether it's for a wedding, whether it's a birthday party, there's no store you can really go to, and in your case, to get supplies. So I think there is definitely a need for somebody. I don't think every problem can be solved by government itself. Is a business opportunity for somebody to enter into, to be able to provide those kinds of supplies. But let me take the opportunity to really congratulate you on what you've achieved, and clearly where you're heading. I want to give you all the encouragement to do so and to make a success of what you're involved in. But can I ask you a question?
Yes, you can.
Yeah. Because you said it's not your 9 to 5. You're at school, you're working. Do you intend to be full-time in crochet, making stuff and selling it?
This is a question I've been getting all the time, and they're always like, oh, Chloe, quit your job, you can just, and I really can, but what I study at school is tourism, and I really have a strong passion for tourism. So I always feel like when I have mastered my tourism, I can come back to crochet and I can incorporate them both. But as of right now, I don't think I ever fully plan to commit my entire self to crochet, but at least...
Let me ask you, please. So why are you studying? What's your ultimate objective?
My ultimate objective in tourism is to do product development in the tourism industry.
But you have a product.
Exactly. So I have to get there to help people like me.
No, but you're there already. You have 8,000. Okay, listen to this, right? You have 8,000 followers. All right?
Which, it sounds like a lot here, but it's really not a lot,
Yeah, well I know. Yeah. What I'm saying is this, right? That a lot of people, okay, like for me, it took us about 4 years to get St. Lucian CMOS to be #1 CMOS in the world. In 2020, during the COVID, the brother I shipped CMOS to, which is a brother in Canada, that is of St. Lucian heritage, we exported over $1 million EC worth of CMOS, and that money came directly in the hands of St. Lucian people. Right, so when it is that you might believe that you might need another product to develop, and you already have a beautiful product, when you are, and if it is that your ultimate purpose is to make money, which is basically make money and be economically sustainable, why is it then that you cannot make your product and utilize the skills that you have to develop that ultimate crochet product that St. Lucia will become #1 in the world for crochet products and materials?
Okay, so I have the answer to that. I do intend on making my crochet the ultimate illusion product. However, when I started to crochet, crocheting was my hobby. It's my passion. And they always say, do not make your hobby your money maker.
Who said that?
When I decide to fully crochet, I don't decide to crochet for money. When you crochet for money, you meet different kinds of people, you lose taste for the passion, etc. So when I plan to get work, I plan to crochet for free. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't try to, and it's in the sense that a lot of people have been asking me to have classes to teach the children, etc. So this is what I mean when I get to where I want to be, I can make crochet what I want it to be. Because a lot of people think I crochet solely out of just money, but it's not money. It's a passion thing. So I'm not just driving it to the top just to make money. I'm driving it to the top where I can share it with others as well.
Well, one thing I'd like to tell you is that, right, at a point in time, as a healer, I used to feel the same way. But, you see, when you make money, you could help people. You see, just for us to be here and to have the cameras and to have everything, that costs us money.
That is true.
Right, so even to reach the top is by having money to do whatever that you have to do. So they say it's better to actually teach someone to fish than to give them fish, right? So instead of giving somebody a free crochet dress, probably you could teach 10 or 15 young people and have a factory, right? And develop the designs, teach them how to crochet so your fingers won't get swollen. Or ultimately even develop a machine that crochets all these different aspects. So it is a problem that we have, Mr. Minister, is with how people interact with money. You know, and people who say, why priest, that Rastaman love money, right? But I love money, you know, so if it is that I never had enough money to break the economic barrier or even going on TV and say, well, diabetes out of style. In 2006, St. Lucia was #1 in the world with diabetes, right? So for me to be able to go on TV, on DBS at that time, for me to say, well, eat healthy, or stop this, or we had something saying junk food out of style. You know, all them things are out of style and we practice healthy eating. I had to pay to be on TV. So I had to learn that. I had to develop an economically sustainable model for myself that I could have actually made money, that I could have helped somebody or helped my country. Right? So it does be good to want to do things for free. And I think our brother Innovis was having the same problem last week when we actually interviewed him. He said, well, he just gives away his shirts, and he gives away his caps, and he gives away all these things, and it's just a passion. Let me tell you, let your passion be your money-making venture. Let your work be what you love doing. Right? So, you see, when my work is fun. Right? My work, what I do, it's like fun to me. So what I'm doing here, if I'm whatever I'm cooking, I'm doing medicines or whatever I'm doing, it's fun. All right? So I would say that you are at a very good position, and the skills that you learn on the outside as you studying is to uplift what you create. So the best product that you have is what you create. I personally don't sell anything that anybody else makes. So I have a range of herbal products. If you look on that shelf, every single thing is Mon Kailash. I never wanted after myself. So you have to just be able to embrace and love yourself. So what I want to ask you now, as you know that we are in this streak of violence, and we're going to open up the audience to ask the Honorable Minister some questions. What do you think is the contributing factors towards the spike of shootings and killings in St. Lucia right now? You, Honorable. You, yes?
Okay, well, I just got back and I was greeted with the View Fort situation, and which was actually going on since last year. And I think our main contributing factor to crime and violence right now is the state of the economy. A lot of the youth are idle, they're out of jobs, they're tempted. We like to sit here and say, oh, but Edison and I are not doing it, but it's the environment that you come from. Not everybody fosters from the same place, so I think with what's going on, and I don't just think it's here, because there is a spike everywhere, but when you sit home and you see 5 shootings in one day in some place as little as St. Lucia, you're worried. And I think it's really because a lot of us are too idle. And you know, they say idle hands make the devil's work. And if you're not strong-minded, then you're the devil's companion. That's what it's meant.
You have any comments, Honorable?
Well, I think there's always some truth in the fact that if people are idle, they can find themselves down the wrong road. But I can tell you, since I became a parliamentary rep and a minister, the amount of young people I have found jobs for, because they were idle, I was frightened some of them might go down the wrong road, and they're not sitting in the jobs. I can give you stories that will make you freak out. They can't go to work on a Saturday because they lie in all Friday night, and they cannot wake up to go to work. The discipline of waking up 5 o'clock, preparing yourself for a day's work, ironing your clothes, organizing yourself, maybe even preparing your lunch, and going and take the 7 o'clock bus so you can reach a workplace for 8. A whole generation don't have that discipline. And I find jobs for them, and some of them complain you have to take 2 buses to go to work. From there to Tong, and from Tong to Grosile. They have to take 2 buses. The bus is always crowded. And when they check at the end of the fortnight how much they really have in their pocket, they feel it worth it. That might be an issue. But the fact is, if I had to tell them stories of my mother, how much she used to make, and people used to walk to go to work, wake up early morning, that kind of societal discipline has collapsed. So, and I can tell you, I can give you a list of people I have found jobs for, and they have not stayed in the jobs. And then they find themselves in challenging situations, and then I still have to step in to help. But they had jobs, or some of them get jobs and the boss talk to them, because nobody is talking to me that kind of way. You know, they feel like disrespect to raise their voice at them. Let me tell you, I'm one of the people that raise their voice at me in life already. So I think it is more than just idleness. I'm not saying there's not idleness. Maybe we've allowed our society through the economy, through idleness, to degenerate to the point where it has grown beyond that. I must tell you though, I think the biggest issue for me now is the proliferation of guns in the society. I grew up in an area where we used to fight. We used to fight, fellas used to have serious fights, but nobody had guns. In those days, or 1, 2 people you have a gun, but nobody used to want to go and kill somebody. You know, a man burst your head, a man draw a ratchet. You remember ratchet in the and story, and fellas go for a cat clue, but nobody thinking of killing somebody. You fight for a man, you burst his head, you take a stick, you give him 2 stick lashes. Nobody used to think of killing somebody. These days, you're in a session, a man step on your toe, you disrespecting him. By the time you walk out of the club, you have to be worried because you step on the man's toe inside. But he might take a gun and shoot you. But while we've reached to the point where life has no meaning.
Yeah, life has lost value.
And I think more than anything else, because we've always had crime. We've always had people fighting and whatnot. But the point where it has reached, where for a simple disagreement with a man, you want to kill him. For me, that takes it to a different level. And the proliferation of guns. And I've said it many times, we don't manufacture guns in St. Lucia.
So where they coming from?
So where they coming from? And then we can trace a lot of the guns we have here back to the United States.
Yeah.
So we don't produce guns, and guns are flooding our streets. Too many people have guns. And when we have conflict now, people believe they have to resolve it using guns, and the value of life has diminished.
Well, I agree with that, the point that people just don't make use of the discipline. I remember growing up, and every Saturday I used to scrub the steps, right? I used to get about, when my cousins sweep the yard, I used to pick up the rubbish. You know, so I used to do that again. Yeah. I remember a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when this thing burst in Vieux-Fort. I went down to Vieux-Fort. I spoke to the so-called the heads. There were youths that said, well, Prince boy, you know, I have a boat, I don't have an engine. I bought engine for them. Tell them, go to fish. Let me know what you want. Some of them want to do goat pen. I help them buy goat. They want to do sheep pen, pig pen. I help them do it, even if I'm Rasta man, you know. And then these same people, because of that lack, I feel that what I saw in our youth is that a lot of the youths have become soulless. You see, they have what they say, omise pan lamb,
People don't, they're soulless. And the value of life, because, and I think it's that level of degeneration, and I always say, well, the youths are a product of our society. So how is it then our society have come to a point whereby what that societal factory is pushing out is youths without a soul, to the extent that you could kill somebody else's mother because you see something wrong with that person.
As the worst expression of it.
That's the worst expression of soullessness.
Yeah.
So I feel that it's not about, it has passed the stage of about a lack of food, a lack of money. I think it's that lack of that empathy, that lack of love and respect for one another. And I believe that the way that we have to move as a nation is to begin to incorporate systemic change in the youths nowadays, and see how we could affect the youths nowadays, to see how we could uplift them and make the place a better place.
And
Go ahead. Go ahead, sister.
well, to what I was saying about the environment, and he spoke about the discipline. This is what I mean, because I heard Mr. Healy said that he went down the wrong path and he got back up. But that's what I mean when not everybody has somebody to pull them up from the wrong path. And also when you speak to, we don't make guns and we chase the guns back to the U.S., we're missing a factor, because if we don't make guns and the guns come from the U.S., the question is how? How are the guns reaching here?
The barrels.
Exactly. So
barrels.
we know whether we know the factor that plays the most important role. So even when at one point in time when they had the 2 incidents where there was children involved in gun violence, and I said to myself, it seems like every other household has a gun these days. It's crazy. So this is what I mean when I say it's really the environment, because like you say, they don't scrub the steps anymore. Your mother, not everybody doing what they want. The lack of discipline is gone and everybody is growing up soulless. So when you say the systematic approach, we really have to start with the youth we have now for us to see results in the generation that is to come.
Alrighty, so in a similar fashion, I mean, we allow young people to be young people through promoting scholarship. Scholarship implies freedom. To explore education implies a good space. So the more safe spaces we can promote, the better chances that young people who want to do good would get the opportunity to. But of course, in the same sense, we are at the point where we have to make the individual decisions to do good and to be good for our community, for our family. And in a sense, love can permeate much like a religion. Everybody can believe in the love of their community, of their family. Once we embrace the good of the situation, the good of the community, which is what we've had, the community living, the community lifestyle, is now the most modern thing. Where if we were to just revert and take up some of the disciplines and listen to our parents, the people that love us, we could manifest great works. But I suppose we're ready right about now to move on to our arts performance.
Before we even move on, give thanks for your patience, musician. Our audience here, we haven't really heard from them. And everyone, so, all right. Hold.
Most people don't know what a soul is, you know. We don't know what a soul is, you know, the heart. So talk about the heart. What happened right now is a lot of those fellas doing these things, they were not brought up in the true family home. The home where you have a mother and a father and they're married, they're blessed by God's covenant, and these children are raised with love. Those kids that they don't know what they call love. They had no parents. They grew up on the road, you know, in the streets. And now they turn to the guns. They have no love in their heart. They don't know what love is. So that's why you have to push that the family structure is rekindled. A man meets a woman, they begin to share their friendship, their love, they get married, they get blessed by God's covenant of marriage. Then they raise their kids in a home of love. When you do that, you can't have that problem you have now. That problem you have now is a problem with lack of love. The children grew up on their own by the streets. They have no heart, they don't know what love is. Thank you.
Give thanks.
No, but I don't think we should believe that you only have love in home where mother and father living together and married. No, you said, yeah, I mean, you could be in a broken, you can be in a broken home where mother and father fighting, you understand? Yeah. Mothers can raise powerful children with a lot of love. And, well...
Yes.
I mean, I would definitely attest to that because, the fact that you can be built properly regardless of the home, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, not even for myself, but the number of young people who have experienced traumatic experiences.
I was raised in a single parent home.
Yeah, so I think it's really, yeah.
Okay, bless to everybody. I would like to start off by saying, first to Miss Chloe, thank you for coming. What I would like to say is, the most successful people out there actually turn their passion into full-time jobs, and that's how they became successful. But it takes a lot of, you need to have the right mindset, because it's a huge risk. You have to be willing to take that risk. And for Honorable Hilaire, you mentioned in your interview that you had a lot of people along the way which were mentors, right? And I really think that's one of the things that we don't have. Other people don't have those mentors to be there, to push them, to direct them, to inspire them, because the people around you that you met along the way gave you that zeal, that drive. Are there things in place that we could organize or we could develop to give young people the avenue where they could meet mentors? They could meet persons like yourself, they could meet persons like other successful individuals that can at least light the fire in their bellies, understand, to move forward and to want to do better themselves.
So, I mean, that's a good point, and I know a few individuals have tried starting mentorship programs that have not really lived on. But, you know, we need mentorship programs. And that's why young people must join youth organizations where you can get into a structure where you can learn some of those basics and fundamentals, and they can have elders that can assist, which is why I'm a big supporter of sports. Big supporter of sports, where you can get involved, be disciplined, be focused, and you have the mentors that can push you. Get involved in the arts, you know, and again, to develop that mental discipline and that kind of focus that is needed. But surely in St. Lucia, we really need to have some mentorship programs, which we don't have.
All right, so I just have, good night, everybody. My name is Nev. I am the CEO and founder of Innovate St. Lucia, as the priest had mentioned earlier. When you were inside, even now I'm noticing your arms, so it looks like you train, right? And you said you're into sports. So one of my questions was, what role does health and fitness play in your daily life? And how does it empower you to be more effective in what you do? That's one of my questions.
Yeah. No, that's a very good question. For me, it's critical. I mean, especially being involved in politics and being a minister, the stress and strain, the long hours, the pressures of modern day politics. Having that kind of, physical, fitness is important for me. In fact, when I do train, that's my spiritual moment. That's when I really meditate. I really focus on myself. I'm really at peace with myself. It is when many times I have to speak in public. That's when I put my thoughts together. That's when I reassure myself, I assess myself, and I set forth myself. So physical activity is really crucial. I think they should make sports and physical activity compulsory in school. Compulsory. Unless you have a medical reason why you're not involved in physical activity and sports, you're supposed to be involved, because it really nurtures you and builds that kind of fortitude and strength.
Give thanks. I know he said he had 2 questions, but we have to go to our man of the hour, man of the 5 minutes, right? You have 5 minutes. Definitely we're going to go with Honorable Brother Rashad to actually bless us with some wonderful music. Honorable.
the 9 months you got me. Almost pain and suffering. No wonder the pressure you never just got me. Even wasn't my love you. Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you got me. Almost pain and suffering. No wonder the pressure you never just got me. It's my brother, Mama, I'll get back to God. I'll never go away. I'll always be around. You like it do so slow like you found. I'm always on the way to where you come. You roof is a dance. You maintain your control. You're on the air. By sheltering me from the sun. And when it's slowly round, it's always so good. Oh my, I'll be ready. Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you got me. Almost
Thanks so much. I enjoyed it. I figured what I
Good. Yes, definitely we do give thanks for life and a mighty life giver. You know, we give thanks for the divine opportunity that we have. Honorable Brother Rashad. Give him a round of applause, please. You know, that's a youth. You know, that's a St. Lucian product. You know, so let us give him a clap again, please. You know, so we give thanks for honorable sister who came out to just speak to us about the crochet. I pray that you will see the strength and power in your vision and understand that education is just a means to add value to what you already have. You know, when I went into medical school, from the time I was a baby, you said you always do what you wanted to be, and then to become a Rasta man and a doctor. Right, so I did go to a communist country, Cuba, you know? So Cuba taught me a lot of things, right? And I was able to use everything I learned in medical school. And when I went to another one in Antigua, but I never went and do surgery. I came back to St. Lucia and tried to use the herbs my grandmother spoke to me about and develop an industry out of that. Right, so most times what you have to do is your education have to become beneficial for society. Right, so when you have a degree or you have a master, that means that you've mastered something that you would utilize to uplift the people within your community. Right? So definitely give thanks for taking the time out to be with us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Honorable Minister, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. And I truly understand the significance of you being here. So when I say give thanks, I mean give thanks, Not just out of my mouth, just speaking, because I know you're a busy man. I know you travel the world. I know you are a big minister, you're deputy prime minister. And you took the time out to come and sit with us and speak to us and invest in the young people and have a conversation with the young people. I'm divinely thankful for that. And may the Almighty bless you and keep you. I know you say, the Almighty bless, keep you and guide you, and pray that you are prosperous in whatever you're doing. Honorable Edison, any final words?
Give thanks, Honorable. As we continue to look into the space, let's continue to support incubators for mentorship and for positive growth among young people, which is often hard to manage, but let's promote it. And I'm grateful for the two of you coming out, Alisa Chloe and the Honorable Minister of Tourism, Dr. Ernest Hilaire. Grateful for the two of you, grateful for the Honorable Priest for creating the platform, and for our lovely audience for being such a joy. Thanks.
Give thanks. That's it.